So there's this traffic circle between downtown Nashville and Music Row where all the big time music industry offices are. And I found it very apt that it's actually a really difficult and confusing circle to drive around and not crash or turn out onto the wrong street. There's 5 streets that go into it. And I thought I should write like a slow country song about I never found out where to turn out the roundabout to Music Row. And I probably wrote at least 4 or 5 completely different versions of this song over the past couple years, and I was always collecting new ideas for it. But I never really came up with the slow country song that I thought that hook deserved. But as I researched the history of the roundabout itself and of Nashville, I found actually so many parallels between Nashville and ancient Greece. And it's interesting because I have always wanted to write a song about Medusa. And so when I came up with that line about people not wanting to look me in the eyes for fear of turning into stone, I realized that this could actually be the song both about Medusa and about the roundabout to Music Row. And so I was looking for all of the things I could collect about ancient Greece in Nashville. It turns out that there's this statue of dancing muses in the middle of the roundabout. And it turns out that they were made of bronze, so I had to say people were afraid of being turned to bronze and not to stone. But the more I talked about it to people, the more I learned, like how people had once put clothes on the naked dancing muses in protest of their nudity, and how there was in fact supposed to be a fountain in the middle of it that isn't there. They never finished it, but the plumbing for it is still there underground. Most people have heard of Medusa growing up, but maybe don't know her full legend. So here's a little more background on the story of Medusa. She was an apprentice to Athena in her temple when she was young and beautiful. And she was the daughter of like demigods, and so she was like partly goddess, partly human. Very beautiful, and Poseidon was like had a huge crush on her, and he always had to get his way. Poseidon, the god of the sea, and he came for her and raped her in Athena's temple, which desecrated it. So Athena punished Medusa, not Poseidon, but Medusa, by turning her into a gorgon with snakes for hair and eyes that turn people into stone. And she exiled her to a remote cave for all eternity. And her sisters tried to defend her, and they got turned into gorgons too. And if you ever went to Medusa's cave, you'd find that the grounds outside of her cave are just strewn with statues, with stone people everywhere. All these people who had come to try to slay her or see her, and you know, don't look her in the eyes, but they would always end up looking her in the eyes. And then finally Perseus came and killed her and gave her head to Athena to put on her shield and turn people into stone with it. And so now Athena had the power of turning people into stone because of the person she had cursed with this stone turning thing. It's all very ironic. And there's actually a life-sized replica of the Parthenon in Nashville with a 42-foot Athena statue in it. And even the football team of Nashville is called the Titans, who were the pre-ancient Greek gods. And the sculpture of the muses in the roundabout is made by the same artist that made the Athena statue. And personally, the way I, as the songwriter, tie into this song is I came to Nashville to learn in a challenging environment, kind of like how athletes would go train at altitude in the high mountains where there's lower air pressure, so that they're stronger when they go back closer to sea level. And people would always talk about what Nashville would used to be, this legendary place, and it felt like roaming the ancient ruins of Nashville, being here in this time, kind of like people roam the ancient ruins in Greece. And I was coming from like a less competitive or career driven music community in a lot of the music communities I was coming from, and I had never really been that concerned about the stats and followers and self-promotion and all that. But Nashville will make you start focusing on these things pretty quickly, even if you don't really know what to do about it, like how to get more followers or more of an audience or anything. You're just obsessed with trying to find any little way to do it. And it kind of almost overtakes the way you actually focus on your art itself. But I also had never lived somewhere so conservative, and I found myself ostracized for my alternative spirituality like I had never had been in any way before. And I also moved here just a few months before the pandemic, and that came along and exiled me in my cave much more extremely. I just stayed in my room and worked on new kinds of art and listened to conspiracy theories and got in touch with old friends. And the way people strive for success here in Nashville often looked like a cargo cult, just copying the dress and styles of the old country legends, hoping that they could somehow harness the magic of them that way. And my efforts at success in my music career have been a mix of worldly, mundane efforts like self-publishing and distributing my music and participating in community events and practicing, even though I never practice enough, and promoting on social media. I even hired PR companies for my album that I just put out, which helped a tiny amount. I don't know if it was worth it or not, but I guess every seed counts. But also I did magical efforts like invoking archangels and doing liminal spells and using my songs as offerings to spirits. And these have all brought small successes, I guess. I don't know from which place, but so far I'm still just driving around that circle, and circles, the roundabout. And I thought about what Athena and Medusa got in the end, and what had been a curse for Medusa became a protective weapon for Athena. But Athena now is forever a statue, like she was the final victim of the power that she took from Medusa. Whereas Medusa got to end her indefinite monstrosity and exile by being killed. She didn't have to live that way for eternity anymore. And now she's continuously recreated in popular culture as this fascinating, terrifying, sexy legend in a way that Athena isn't really. And I saw lots of Medusas walking around in the flesh on Halloween this year, and no Athenas. The art of songwriting itself is a process of alchemical transformation, taking sadness and trauma and transforming it into something that can hopefully help others in some way with their sadness and trauma. And since I sing my songs over and over in my life, they work like affirmations or prayers or spells, and I have to be careful what I write. And I didn't want to end this song still being stuck in the turnaround, so instead I just give the cautionary advice about not losing your head when you get all the success that you hoped for.